Thinkware U3000 versus the VIOFO A139 Pro. We're going to show you daytime footage, nighttime footage, how it does going through tunnels, license plate capture, parking mode capabilities, current draw from both these units. Let's go! The Thinkware U3000 uses a front 4K Sony Starvis 2 8 megapixel image sensor and a rear 2K 1440p Sony Starvis image sensor. It has a front viewing angle of 152 degrees wide and a rear viewing angle of 128 degrees. The front camera is also capable of changing it to 2K 1440p 60 frames per second. Now looking at the VIOFO A139 Pro, the VIOFO has a front 8 megapixel Sony Starvis 2 IMX678 image sensor and a rear 1080p IMX291 2 megapixel image sensor. It also can be changed to 1440p 2K 60 frames per second. The viewing angle of the VIOFO A139 Pro is a front 140 degree viewing angle and a rear 170 degree viewing angle. Both the Thinkware U3000 and VIOFO A139 Pro both support 2 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi. Why is this important? Well, because on the 5 GHz setting, you can actually download videos 3 to 4 times quicker. Now, when looking at the SD card capacity, the VIOFO A139 Pro will support up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card, while the Thinkware will support up to 256, which I think this is actually quite a big upgrade because the old Thinkware U1000 was maxed out at 128 gigabyte micro SD card. GPS information. So both these units, the VIOFO and Thinkware U3000, both have GPS information. What that means to you, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to map and figure out from point A to point B. What it does is it actually embeds your speed and location into the video, right? That way you can see where it was recorded. You can also see how fast you were driving. Now, if you have a heavy foot, both units also allow you to turn off that if you are worried about it embedding speed and giving that information up. Now, the extra added benefit of Thinkware is it will give you red light and speed camera notifications, which you can also turn on or off depending on whether or not you have that. Some newer vehicles already have that technology built into the wireless Android Auto and CarPlay and already alerts you, but some people don't. Parking mode. Lots of different options here. Radar, smart parking, motion and impact detection, time lapse, and energy saving mode. So let's break it all down. The new radar parking mode with built-in radar is low-powered recording mode that utilizes the U3000's built-in radar to monitor motion with minimal power consumption. This requires you using the hard wiring or OBD2 cable. This allows for longer buffered parking surveillance so you have footage of events leading to an incident. When a motion or impact is detected, the U3000 will save a 20-second video clip, 10 seconds before and 10 seconds after the incident has been detected. Smart parking mode. So this is a new feature. This safety feature prevents heat-related damage by automatically switching the U3000 to a low power mode if the temperature inside the vehicle gets too high during parking mode. In this state, the dash cam records incidents triggered by impacts only until its operating temperature is safe again to resume motion detection or time-lapse parking mode. Motion detection. Motion detection parking mode saves a 20-second video clip after a motion or impact has been detected, 10 seconds before and 10 seconds after the event. Time-lapse. Time-lapse parking mode records footage at 2 frames per second, enabling the dash cam to continuously record long periods of parking surveillance without increasing power consumption. Energy Saving 2.0. The energy-saving parking mode saves a 20-second video clip only after an impact has been detected. 20 seconds immediately after the event, allowing the U3000 to reduce its power consumption and remain in parking mode for a longer duration. VIOFO A139 Pro Parking Mode.
Parking recording started.
Low battery protection. Video examples of time lapse, auto event detection, and low bitrate recording. How to retrieve videos where they are, and the parking mode cable. Let's go. Let's talk about parking recording with the VIOFO A139 Pro. There's 3 options: auto event detection, time lapse recording, or low bitrate recording. So, auto event detection. The camera will automatically record a video sequence while a moving object is detected during parking. It will stop recording when no new movement is detected. Time-lapse recording. Time-lapse will record a video at a low frame per second. 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 frames per second. It keeps recording continuously without any audio recording. Here are the examples of 1 frame per second, 2 frames per second, 3 frames per second, 5 frames per second, and 10 frames per second. And you can actually see the differences between all of them. And the main thing it's doing is it's going from taking 1 picture per second all the way up to 10 pictures per second, depending on what option you select. Now, for low bitrate recording, this mode records video and audio continuously, but at a low bitrate in a small file size. And from the testing I was doing, it seems like the size is about 1/3 of the size of auto event detection. So either way, you can tell it's very good options. Now, for every single one of these units, in order for you to use parking recording, you need to have a parking mode cable. So if you do not have the parking mode cable installed, which you can see here from VIOFO is the HK3C cable, please do not use the HK4 or any other cable. Use the specific new version HK3C cable. So you want to make sure to hook up constant power, ignition, and ground. It's very important that it is hooked up this way. That way it actually knows when the ignition is switching off, and it knows when to go into parking recording.
Parking recording started.
Now, in parking mode, if you want to view any of these videos on your dash camera, you can log right in to the actual Wi-Fi app, and you can view them all under the parking mode files. So when you go directly into there, you will find everything. Now, if there is any impacts or anything while parked, they will not go into the locked files. They stay directly into the parking recording file section. So I actually show this in one of the videos about how I make an impact with the basketball, and it still stays directly in the parking recording file folder. So everybody's always asking about low battery protection and whether or not it actually works. So currently it's in continuous recording mode right now. I'm going to cut off the ignition power, which is going to put it into parking mode, and then I'm going to drop the voltage to see if the low battery protection kicks in. So right there, I've turned the ignition power off on the power supply, and within 30 seconds you're going to hear it saying parking and recording will now start.
Parking recording will now start.
Okay, so we have it in parking mode. It's on motion detection. You can see it's drawing, about 300 milliamps of current, 3.6 watts, and it's sitting at 12.5 volts. Now the low battery protection cutoff is set for 12 volts, which means if I drop it below 12 volts, the dash camera should shut off to protect the battery of the car. So I'm going to change it to 11.9 volts, and let's see if the low battery protection kicks in. And there you have it. The dash camera shut off after, I'm going to have to verify exactly how long it was, but it shut off at 11.8 volts after, I'm thinking it was about 2 minutes of being below the set voltage. So we're going to test low battery protection of the VIOFO A139 Pro. So as you can see, we have this cable that actually goes right in there in line that hooks directly up to the dash camera with the USB-C end, and it has settings of 11.8, 12 volts, 12.2, and 12.4 volts. We always recommend everybody set for 12 volts or higher. That's our recommendation. So now we're going to show you the test.
Parking recording started.
And there you go. Low battery protection kicking in, 0.1 volt under the setting, which we set for 12 volts at 1.5 minutes. So let's talk current draw of parking mode. We're going to start off with what the total current draw of this dash camera is while you're driving around. So it's drawing 450 milliamps of current, or 5.6 watts, depending on how you want to look at it. That's not even half an amp of current. Now let's go into the parking mode features. The radar parking mode, and this is what really blows me away. The radar parking mode is drawing 10 milliamps of current on our test bench. Okay, 0.1 watts. Motion detection is drawing 286 milliamps, or 3.5 watts. Time lapse is drawing 251 milliamps, or 3.1 watts. And energy saving mode is drawing 3 milliamps, or I'm just saying 0.1 watts because it's so low it won't even register. Anyways, let's talk current draw of the VIOFO A139 Pro. So for regular current draw, while it's operating and you're driving your vehicle all day, it's going to draw approximately 498 milliamps, or 6.7 watts of current. Now, when we go into parking mode and we look at like time lapse, for instance, it's going to draw a little bit less at 389 milliamps and 4.8 watts of current. Obviously, it's preserving a little bit, And then we're going to auto event detection. Auto event detection, which is motion and impact, is 439 milliamps and 5.4 watts of current. And then when we go look at low bitrate recording, really low bitrate recording is saving storage space, but it's still drawing the same current as auto event detection at 439 milliamps and 5.4 watts. This is the Thinkware U3000 versus the VIOFO A139 Pro. We're going to start with the tunnel test, go into chasing license plates, and then after that, showing you how it performs at night. Enjoy. Pros and cons. The Thinkware U3000, we're going to start with that one. The pros, 2K rear camera. Has cloud features. Radar parking mode front and rear. Firmware updates over the Wi-Fi app. And if you have any incidents while parked, it will give you voice notifications. Now, some of the cons are it has no high dynamic range. It talks too much occasionally, but you do have control over those voice and sound controls now on the U3000 as compared to the prior U1000. The VIOFO A139 Pro, pros, it has high dynamic range. Supports up to a 512 gigabyte micro SD card. Can be used in 3-channel mode for those Uber drivers out there. Small rear camera cable, so it's a little bit easier to run from the front to the back. And it's the best video quality 4K dash camera I've tested to date. Cons. No cloud. It has a 1080p rear camera and no energy saving parking mode. And firmware updates must be done from a desktop computer. So my final thoughts on this. Now, if you want the best dashcam parking mode, I would probably get the Thinkware U3000, and I wouldn't think twice about it. Now, if you want the best 4K video quality on the market, I would be looking at the VIOFO A139 Pro, because currently I don't feel anything touches it from what I've seen on video quality. But we'll see. I mean, there will probably be more dash cams thrown my way. I've been in contact with some other manufacturers that want me to test their products against the Thinkware U3000, against the VIOFO A139 Pro. So maybe we'll see in the future here something actually dethrone these units. But as far as I'm concerned, best parking mode, Thinkware U3000, best video quality, VIOFO A139 Pro. Now, if you want to see my full review on these, because I'm pretty sure I left a few things out, I would definitely look up here for my Thinkware U3000 full review. And if you want to see my full review on the VIOFO A139 Pro, I would definitely look up here, because these are where the links are, so that you can actually watch the full review. Other than that, if you do have any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them as quick as we can. I just want to let you know, thank you for all the support as we continue growing the channel, and have a safe drive.